There was once a farm where the animals worked harder than anyone else, yet they received the smallest share of the rewards. The farm belonged to a careless and selfish farmer named Mr. Jones. While the animals spent their days plowing fields, producing eggs, giving milk, and growing food, Mr. Jones enjoyed the profits and often neglected their needs. Hunger, exhaustion, and unfair treatment became a normal part of life. Deep down, every animal knew something was wrong, but none of them believed things could ever change. One night, an old and respected pig named Old Major gathered all the animals inside the barn. He spoke about a dream he had: a world where animals lived free from human control. A world where no animal exploited another, and everyone shared equally in the fruits of their labor. His speech ignited a spark of hope among the animals. For the first time, they imagined a better future. Old Major died shortly afterward, but his ideas survived. The animals began believing that freedom was possible. Not long after, Mr. Jones became even more irresponsible and forgot to feed the animals properly. Hungry and desperate, the animals finally rebelled. They chased Mr. Jones and his workers off the farm and took control of the land themselves. Their victory felt like a miracle. For the first time, Animal Farm belonged to the animals. They celebrated their freedom and created a set of rules known as the Seven Commandments. The most important rule declared, all animals are equal. At first, life on Animal Farm seemed wonderful. Everyone worked together. Harvest was larger than ever, food was distributed fairly, and the animals felt proud of their achievements. Two pigs emerged as leaders, Snowball and Napoleon. Snowball was intelligent, energetic, and focused on improving life for everyone. Napoleon, however, was quiet, ambitious, and always seemed to be planning something in the background. Although they worked together initially, it soon became clear that they had very different visions for the farm. Snowball proposed building a windmill that would generate electricity and make work easier for all the animals. Many animals loved the idea, but Napoleon opposed it. Then, during a critical meeting, Napoleon suddenly unleashed a group of fierce dogs that he had secretly raised. The dogs chased Snowball off the farm, and he was never seen again. From that day forward, Napoleon became the sole ruler of Animal Farm. At first, Napoleon promised that everything he did was for the good of the farm, but slowly things began to change. The pigs moved into the farmhouse. They started eating better food than everyone else. They made decisions without consulting the other animals. Whenever someone questioned Napoleon's actions, a pig named Squealer would explain that the leader was making sacrifices for everyone's benefit. Many animals were confused, but they trusted their leaders and continued working. The biggest worker on the farm was a powerful horse named Boxer. Boxer believed in two simple principles. I will work harder, and Napoleon is always right. Whenever the farm faced difficulties, Boxer pushed himself even harder. He worked longer hours than anyone else, and never complained. His dedication inspired the other animals, but it also made him easy to exploit. As conditions worsened, food became scarce, and the promised equality began disappearing. Yet Boxer continued believing that more work would solve every problem. Meanwhile, Napoleon used fear to strengthen his power. Animals who disagreed with him were accused of being traitors. Public confessions and punishments became common. The Seven Commandments, which once protected everyone's freedom, were quietly altered whenever they became inconvenient. Each change was small enough that many animals doubted their own memories. Gradually, the ideals of the revolution were replaced by propaganda, fear, and obedience. Years passed, and the windmill that was supposed to improve life became a symbol of endless labor. The animals worked harder than ever, yet their lives never improved. The pigs, however, grew wealthier and more comfortable. They began trading with humans, wearing clothes and adopting the same habits they had once condemned. The revolution that promised freedom slowly transformed into a new form of oppression. Then came the most heartbreaking moment of all. Boxer, after years of exhausting labor, collapsed from overwork. The animals believed Napoleon would help their loyal friend recover. Instead, Boxer was secretly sold to a slaughterhouse for money. When the truth emerged, it shattered what little faith remained among the animals. Yet even then, many were too afraid or too powerless to resist. As time went on, the pigs became increasingly indistinguishable from the humans they had replaced. They walked on two legs, carried whips, and lived lives of luxury. One evening, the other animals looked through the farmhouse window and saw pigs and humans dining together as equals. They watched the faces around the table and realized something shocking. They could no longer tell the difference between pig and man. The story ends with a powerful lesson. The animals had overthrown one tyrant, only to create another. The dream of equality had been corrupted by greed, power, and manipulation. What began as a revolution for freedom became a warning about how easily power can change those who possess it. An Animal Farm leaves us with a message that remains relevant long after the story ends. Asterisk, asterisk. When people stop questioning those in power, freedom can slowly disappear even when it seems like nothing is changing. Asterisk, asterisk.